The sun hit the windows of the Marwood residence like a spotlight on a stage. When the Williams family rolled up in their SUV unloading boxes, it should have been an ordinary suburban scene. But the neighborhood had other ideas. Curtains twitched, eyes peered. Not a single neighbor waved. Samantha Williams, clipboard tucked under her arm from grocery runs earlier in the day, watched quietly. Her husband, Marcus, carried the TV inside while their daughter, Leela, ran toward the backyard chasing the shadows of butterflies. Calm, orderly, peaceful. Their home exuded normalcy. That peace, however, didn't extend past their property line. Less than 48 hours after moving in, a bright yellow notice appeared on the front door, taped crookedly. Violation notice, non-compliant mailbox, correct within 72 hours to avoid citation. Samantha picked it up, inspected it, then set it aside. No return address, no contact number, just the official-looking logo of the Ridgeway HOA board. She poured herself a cup of tea and glanced at the deed binder on the kitchen counter. Every page she turned confirmed what she already knew. This property was never under HOA jurisdiction. "Looks like someone's overzealous," she murmured to Marcus, stirring honey into her mug. The next morning brought another notice, taped to the windshield of their SUV. "Vehicle parking violation, improper formation, $100 fine, escalation for repeat offenses." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Ignoring this, too?" Samantha smiled faintly. If someone pretends to have authority, ignoring them starves their ego. Days went by, each marked by sharp knocks at the door, footsteps pacing the driveway, and slips of paper pushed under mats. Samantha ignored it all. She watered her rose bushes, tended to her herbs, and smiled at the birds in the yard, utterly unbothered. The woman orchestrating the harassment was none other than HOA Karen, president of the board, pink blazer catching the morning sun, her curly hair bouncing with every determined step. She had perfected the posture of authority. Clipboard clutched, sunglasses masking intent, sharp heels clicking against concrete. She expected fear. Instead, she got serenity. 2 weeks of unanswered violations had Karen whispering to her assistants by the mailbox. "She's too calm, too confident," one muttered, frustration lining her voice. The breaking point came on a warm afternoon. Samantha decided to take a short walk along the community trail, her boots crunching against gravel, hands relaxed at her sides. Karen saw her as an opportunity. Clipboard ready, she marched to intercept, flanked by 2 fellow HOA enforcers. "Stop right there," Karen barked, voice dripping with authority. "You've been ignoring multiple violation notices. Mailbox, vehicle, landscaping. You think rules don't apply to you?" Samantha stopped calmly, one hand on her hip, the other brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "We've seen your notices, and we've reviewed the regulations. There's no HOA governing this property. You have no authority here." Karen's face flushed. "I'm the president of the board. You will comply." She tilted her chin, serene, unshaken. Authority isn't given by titles alone. Karen's hand went behind her back, and for a brief second, Samantha's heart rate ticked up. But she didn't move, didn't flinch. Karen pulled a compact handgun from a hidden holster, aiming it straight at Samantha, voice sharp, "Let's see if you still ignore me now. Comply!" The urban air felt electric. Birds paused mid-song, leaves whispered in the breeze. Samantha, still calm, didn't back away. "Do you really think fear will make me obey?" she said, voice soft but firm. "You've made a mistake." Karen blinked, confusion flickering. What? What did you say? Samantha stepped forward, one smooth motion. One hand, one twist, and the gun was no longer in Karen's grip. It rested in Samantha's hands. Pointed safely to the ground, Karen froze. Her assistant stared in disbelief. The weapon that had been intended to intimidate was now disarmed, the power completely reversed. For a long moment, only the wind and the distant laughter of children broke the silence. Samantha's eyes never left Karen's. "Turn around," she said, calm and commanding. Karen's knees wobbled slightly. You can't." Samantha pressed her thumb to the small radio clipped inside her jacket. "Dispatch, this is Officer Samantha Williams. I have one suspect detained for armed intimidation and impersonation of authority. Backup requested." A tense pause, then a calm voice on the line. "Copy. Officer Williams, units en route." Karen sagged, the realization of defeat washing over her like ice. The assistants' faces mirrored her own. Samantha lowered the weapon, standing tall, serene, and unshaken. The quiet satisfaction of control hung in the air like a summer sunset. The urban streets of Ridgeway Hills would never see Karen's pink blazer quite the same way again.
The sound of tires on gravel reached Samantha's ears before she even glanced at the path. Backup had arrived. Uniformed deputies fanned out along the trail, hands hovering near holsters, eyes scanning for threats. Samantha kept Karen and her assistants in view, calm, composed, the gun now safely holstered. Karen's assistants muttered excuses, waving arms, stammering words that fell flat against the authority in Samantha's stance. Karen, pink blazer wrinkled, curly hair slightly frizzed from stress, tried to step forward. This isn't... Samantha raised a single hand. "Stay where you are. One wrong move, and the consequences get real fast." Deputy Lorna Fields, first on the scene, stepped up, her voice crisp. "Ma'am, we've got this handled. Keep the suspect secured." Karen's jaw tightened as officers surrounded her. The clipboard, once a symbol of fake power, lay discarded on the ground, papers fluttering like defeated flags. Samantha's eyes scanned the area, noticing small details: the hidden cameras mounted on light posts, the cheap radios clipped to Karen's assistants, the laminated violation notices stuffed in folders. It was amateurish, yet methodical. A suburban intimidation operation disguised as HOA enforcement. "Explain yourselves," Samantha said calmly, each word carrying authority. One assistant, shaking, pointed toward Karen. She said it was the only way to keep the neighborhood in line." Karen's mouth opened, then closed. Her facade of confidence cracked, exposing the insecurity behind the meticulous control she'd exerted. I thought it was necessary." "Necessary?" Samantha re-echoed, stepping closer, her boots firm on the gravel. "You threatened a woman with a firearm for garden compliance? For mailbox design? Explain that." The deputies began cataloging evidence. Orange slips, parking violation notices, photos of the Williams property from hidden vantage points, recordings from the cheap radios. Each piece told the same story: an elaborate intimidation campaign designed to extract obedience or fear. One deputy found a folder labeled "Fines Collected." Inside, stacks of cash, neatly counted. Karen's assistants fidgeted. Karen herself froze, the color draining from her face. "This isn't HOA authority," Samantha said softly, almost conversational. "This is extortion." The deputies moved quickly, securing Karen and her assistants, reading rights, applying restraints. Karen's pink blazer contrasted sharply against the uniformed officers. She looked like a statue frozen mid-command, her ego collapsing silently. "You'll be charged with armed intimidation, impersonation of authority, and fraud," Samantha told Karen. Her tone was calm but unyielding. and you're going to explain everything to the courts. Karen's assistants avoided eye contact, murmuring names of residents, payments collected, and orders carried out under her command. Samantha let them speak, each confession peeling back another layer of the scheme. Within an hour, deputies had cataloged every violation notice, traced every collected fine, and mapped out the fake HOA network. By sunset, Karen and her team were loaded into patrol vehicles, their expressions a mixture of disbelief, shame, and fear. The neighborhood had watched from behind curtains, eyes wide, mouths closed. The whispers of power gone wrong rippled through Ridgeway Hills. Samantha returned to her family, walking past her rose bushes as if no drama had occurred. Marcus carried Lila on his shoulders, both smiling, both safe. Peace had returned, not from ignoring the law, but from being the law when it truly mattered. She glanced at the horizon, the sky painted with amber and pink. Neighborhood rules are meant for everyone, not to intimidate, not to scare, not to give false authority a mask. Marcus nodded, shaking his head slightly. You made that very clear today. Samantha allowed herself a small smile, one that held both relief and satisfaction. The HOA Karen who had tried to bend the rules, who had escalated threats to violence, had been stopped. And more importantly, her little kingdom of fear was exposed. In the coming days, the fake HOA members faced legal consequences. Residents who had quietly endured harassment finally breathed easy, retrieving letters and fines that had no legal basis. The courts would sort the rest. But in the Williams household, there was no celebration, but only calm vigilance. Samantha watered her plants, watched Lila chase butterflies, and listened to Marcus hum a soft tune while unpacking boxes. Life was normal again, yet different, empowered by the knowledge that fear could never truly rule over those who understood justice. And somewhere behind closed curtains, neighbors whispered about the pink blazer that had once ruled their streets. The memory would linger, a cautionary tale of how appearances of authority can crumble when confronted with truth. Samantha glanced at the sunset. Tomorrow they would continue their lives, but today had been a lesson. Power built on fear never lasts.